Hello, and welcome to Flix and a Six. I'm one of your hosts, Anthony Costanzo, with me, forever and always, the man, the myth, the...
Oh, you son of a bitch. I was
Alessandro
going to do that back to you when you said, say hello, Al.
Say hello, Al. Main topic for this week's episode is going to be Annihilation. If you've never seen the trailers, you have no idea what we're doing. But before we get into that, Al, what are we drinking? I'll normally do a little run of show. We're just going to skip ahead. What are we drinking?
So we're drinking, those of you who have listened before know that both of us were a big fan of Heady Topper. So another beer from the Alchemist, we're drinking Focal Banger. So normally we pour out our full glass, and if you notice we had an abbreviated pour this time around, it's because Alchemist beers are supposed to be drank from the can.
Aggressively.
In fact, the can is literally screaming at us, drink from the can.
More than once. Drink from the can, drink from the can, drink from the can 3 times around.
So I figured we'd pour out a little bit just for our sound effect purposes. And also so
and taking a look at this.
Look at it.
And the cheers.
Cheers.
Let's do the cheers. Very nice. Very nice. That's the stuff. That is everything that I like.
Good.
Well done.
I'm glad you enjoyed. I have actually had this one time before.
I like that.
But it's such a good beer, and I knew you hadn't had it, so I figured it was worth breaking the rules slightly.
Much appreciated. This is real good. Tell me a little bit about this beer, Al.
Sure. First of all, do you want to examine this very odd can art?
I was going to do that while you talk because there's a lot going on here.
Actually, this is perfect for this movie in more ways than one because it's got the little effect of the guy holding the can, which is the guy holding the can, which is the guy holding the can. Guys, just get used to it. That's going to happen at least 8 more times.
Episode, and probably for the next few episodes. Or anytime one of us blows the other one's mind.
Yes. So it's an India Pale Ale. I like the hops coming out of that dude's ears. It's pretty cool. 7%
and the hops going up his nose along with the beer.
Naturally. Of course, it comes in pints.
It comes in pints.
Most of our favorite beers seem to. So on the back of the can it says, Focal Banger is an American India Pale Ale. We have a real love for IPAs here at The Alchemist, and we strive to offer you the best hop experience that we possibly can. This beer is brewed using Citra, Anthony's favorite.
There it is.
And Mosaic hops, something I'm a fan of. And our favorite British malts, truly an abundance of hoppy goodness. Now,
I'm very curious why I'm not allowed to pour this into the glass.
Why do I recommend that you drink it from the can? Which is
really
2 paragraphs down on the can. Well, here, let's go. Let's just read the whole thing.
Yeah, go for it.
Freshness and control have always been my main concern when it comes to our beer. We're committed to providing you with an unfiltered and unpasteurized hop experience. Why do I recommend that you drink it from the can? Quite simply to ensure a delightful hop experience. The act of pouring it in a glass smells nice, but it releases the essential hop aromas that have worked so hard to retain. If you must pour it into a glass, you may find that some of the hop resins have settled to the bottom. Leave them in the can when pouring. This beer is perishable and it's best when it's young, fresh, and hazy. Keep it cold, but not ice cold. Drink this beer today, because you could be dead tomorrow.
Well done. Well done. That's really good. I am curious, though, if I'm done with the glass, I'm going to go in for the can.
Okay.
Let's see if I notice a difference. Should I cleanse the palate? I'm going to cleanse the palate.
We have some water. We can get you a rice cake, perhaps?
Oh, we almost lost the computer again.
Woo. And the microphone.
And the microphone would have been fine. Yeah. It's better in the can.
It's the type of thing that you'd be skeptical of.
Yeah.
That it's, like you're snobby, like you.
No, it's better in the can. That's 100% accurate.
The rare exception to the rule.
Weird. It was a little bit more bitter in the glass.
Yes. Which is probably some of the releasing of those resins.
Right. Huh. Very cool. I would have never thought that. Yeah.
It's funny. There's something to that no matter what sort of beer you're talking about. Changing of... A lot of beers do better with aeration. That's why you pour them out.
Sure.
And there's something to be said for how it ages in a glass bottle versus a can. That I actually can't speak to. I'll have to do some homework on that one of these days. I only ever bottle mine in bottles, so it doesn't really matter to me for my own making of beer. Mm-hmm. But these guys in particular are really specific. They do some funky things with how... I have a recipe to clone Heady Topper.
Oh, okay.
It's so fucking complicated, which, like... Most beer recipes are, if you know how to do it, you can do anything.
Sure.
that one is going to
Not the
require
case.
me to look back on it again a couple times before I give it a shot. And I'm sure whatever comes out, it'll be good, but it won't be that beer.
Right.
It just won't.
Right.
It'll be something else. It will be a Heady Topper clone. It won't be Heady Topper.
Right. I love that at the bottom of this can it says, "Don't be a d-bag." Recycle this can.
It was on the little, those little plastic 4-pack
It's on that
things
too.
that it was on. There's a sticker on it.
Was it the hard?
Yeah, the hard
top?
plastic thing
Yeah.
that holds 4 of them up from the tops. I have one of those, so.
Very nice. Very good choice. Obviously recommend this one. Ooh, I like
It's
that a
smoother
lot.
out of the
I like
can.
that a lot. Yeah.
It's weird. It's like dramatically more bitter
In the glass.
coming from the glass.
Yeah.
It's weird.
And I liked it in the glass.
Yeah,
I like it
but it's
way more
better.
now.
So it is-
Yeah.
It's better balanced. That's what it is.
They're not lying on the can. Just follow the instructions.
Yeah.
Wow. Good stuff. Good
Well done,
stuff.
guys.
This week's episode's a little bit different. Al and I are in person for the first time in a long time.
Since
recording the
Star Wars.
show since Star Wars. Wow. That was December.
Yeah.
Months have passed.
2.5.
It's been the months since then. So we got to see this week's movie
Saw it a couple hours ago.
together, which
Yes.
is always a fun experience.
Indeed.
Because we get the right after the movie, which is my favorite time to talk about the movie, is like right after you've experienced it, right with the people that also enjoy movies the same way you do. So we do this where we're like kind of just talking at each other on the
Yes.
way back to the car for
Babbling often.
yeah,
And buena.
and making that noise just really loud for early in the morning.
in the full disclosure, one of my notes, apropos of nothing, is just bois na na.
How did you spell it?
BW, 6 A's, space, NA, space, NA.
That's fair. That's good. I like it. I think that's a good breakdown. I think that is how you translate that to paper.
Yeah, if you're listening to this and you haven't actually seen the movie yet, we're using it almost an infinite amount of times more than it was used in the movie. It was only a couple times.
Yeah.
But if you've seen the trailer, especially if you've seen the trailer many times, you've heard that sound and you know the existential dread that sinks upon you while hearing that sound.
I am of the mind that there were two types of people, and then when they saw the trailer, they went, "Ooh, I want to see this movie." That was us. And there was other folks that were probably like, "What the hell is this?"
See, it's funny. I saw the teaser and I was like, eh. And then I saw the trailer and I said, oh, Alex Garland?
Oh.
Yes.
I see what you're doing here.
And those of you who've been listening know that both of us are pretty big fan of his work, starting with Ex Machina, which we'll do an episode of eventually, but we both want to rewatch
Maybe we'll
it.
do that with the Heady Topper clone when it's ready. That'll be good. We're recording the morning of the Oscars. Al's
I guess it's afternoon
graciously,
at this point.
yeah, that's true. Decided to he came by. He's gonna watch the show with us for it. You haven't the past couple of years, right? It was since Hoboken.
Hoboken was the last time.
Yeah, so Kim and I always watch them, but every once in a while
was that like 3 years ago?
we have folks over. Yeah, I think so. Something like that. Three or 4 years ago, probably.
One of those two.
So we'll have a little Oscars party tonight. So
I will eat everything in sight.
if you hear anything going on, like in the background of this, it's because Kim's probably getting ready for stuff. I know she's making donuts right now, which I'm pretty happy about.
Nice.
Excited to taste those later. We'll check in on how those are later.
I forgot. I should have brought down some protein to drink later in this episode. I'm gonna need it.
Yeah. You can check it after the episode.
I've already shocked and awed Anthony with my...
That was impressive. That was so. If you've ever been to Jersey Mike's, there are 3 sizes of sandwich. There's the size that you should order, the size that you order, and then the one Al got.
Which I said at the time I was going to eat across 2 or 3 separate eatings, and then I ate it in like 8 minutes.
Yep. You would. I'm pretty sure. From my perspective, it was one bite because I looked left and you were unwrapping the sandwich. I looked right. I talked to Kim. I looked back. The sandwich was gone. It was over.
And then, well, no, not even. You didn't even see the sandwich was gone. I turned to you and brought your attention to it and said, I intended for that to be a 2-part story, and it was done in one. And then you looked down and realized what I was talking about.
I like that you were when we were in the store and you were buying the sandwich, you were like, I'm going to eat this over the course of the day. Well done.
I ate it over the course of the first part of an episode of New Girl.
you have failed, and you don't seem sorry, nor should you.
No, because the thing is, like, the way that this diet's been taking, where, like, I'm just stuffing my face nonstop, like, usually I'm hit with I'm so full, and I never want to eat again, and then I have to eat in, like, 45 minutes. It's been an hour, and I already want to eat more, actually.
Okay. He's a hungry boy.
It's a good thing there's going to be wings and pizza later, too.
It's true.
Guys, I've lost 10 pounds on this diet. If you want more information, contact me.
I'll give out your information later. So yeah, Oscars tonight. Very excited about that. We've talked at length about the Oscars for the past 3 episodes.
Well, how many of you have been back?
I don't even know. I don't even know.
Is the answer.
But I'm excited. I love this. It's like a holiday for me. In fact, next year I'm going to take the Monday after off.
I mean, there's no point since you work from home, but we're going to be up late. I'll stay in here again tonight. I think we discussed that, but in case you didn't, what's going to happen. So
we'll do a post-Oscar show next week. next year. That'll be good. We should just put the mic on tonight and just let it.
See if there's anything
just
good.
Let it go.
Clip it.
Maybe I'll clip it down.
Yeah.
Should we do that?
I mean, the worst thing we can do is just not use it.
Fair enough. I will make it so. Cool. You can hear I'm sure there's going to be movies that I'm going to react poorly to when they win.
It's funny. You've been talking about the Phantom Thread.
Oh.
And I'm seeing a lot, some people this movie was trash, and seeing other people who are like, anyone who doesn't love this movie doesn't know movies.
Yeah.
Which is crazy, because it's usually not that level of snobbery. I mean,
sure.
There's nothing more snobby than the Oscars, but that's a particular brand that you don't see too often.
That is also...
Because there's been movies I've disagreed with and all those sorts of things where it's I get why it's that thing,
sure.
even if I don't feel that way.
Sure.
I didn't see this, but you've seen it and said you don't even get it.
Right, and I think we got a little bit of that last week. I understand why you like Lady Bird, but the things that worked for you are exactly the things that didn't work for me.
Okay. But
Which is fine.
And that's fair.
And I will...
And that's what we've always, even the rare times we do disagree, it's always been about you or me explaining why, and the other person will be like, okay, I disagree, but I get it.
Yeah, exactly. So, and it's so frustrating because, that's a statement that I don't feel is okay to say.
Rarely now.
Yeah, what did you say it again? If you didn't like this movie, you don't know movies? Is that
basically?
Yeah, that's not okay because movies are art.
Well, not even about if you didn't like it, if you didn't get why it's the best movie.
Oh, it's not the best movie.
Well, but some people think it is.
Yeah.
And not only do they think it's the best, which valid if that's what they feel, but the idea if you don't think it's the best, or at least one of the top two, then you're wrong, basically, which is problematic.
Okay. Got it. Yeah. Okay, so I don't really... See, what I normally do is then distance myself from those people. Don't talk to them again.
Yeah, that's fair. Thankfully I haven't spoken to you. It's been so I've read.
I would be okay with you having the opinion that you really enjoy the movie. But I would not be okay with you having the opinion that
I guess I'd have to
I don't enjoy the movie.
I'd have to talk to someone who is an actual...
That's what Kim and I have been saying. We're she's the other day we were talking about the movie again. She's like, I gotta talk to somebody that liked it.
No, not even that. I guess I have to talk to a quote-unquote expert, someone who studies the craft.
Oh, that's true.
And see what it is that I'm missing. Well, I didn't see what you're missing.
Sure.
The general... Because you're not alone in your opinion
on
the movie. Although I've heard mostly positive reviews of it. So yeah, I just don't get it. I was actually listening to a critic on the radio, on ESPN radio of all things, an afternoon drive show, talking to, I guess the host was friendly with Ben Lyons, I think his name is. He writes for one of the New York papers, The Post or something. He does critics. Apparently he's super famous. His dad was really famous. He was just regaling them with stories about how he was as a child friends with Ernest Hemingway, and his father was a society writer. That's what his father was. And they were so close with Ernest Hemingway that when his wife found that Ernest Hemingway had killed himself, she called him first to tell him to tell the world.
Oh, wow.
So he was talking about how he's met Winston Churchill as a child and went to dinner at his house and stuff. It was ridiculous stuff. But
what did he think of Darkest Hour?
It's funny because he had interesting criticisms of it. I think he was somewhat more down on it than the general consensus, but I think it's because he came from a place of personal knowledge. I literally knew the man.
Right.
So he's uniquely qualified to criticize.
Interesting.
One of the criticisms was something about him not looking like Winston Churchill, and it's as good as you can do with... He was saying it was amazing what they did with prosthetics, but he doesn't look anything like him, this and that. But he said something along the lines of Phantom Thread. I was surprised. I expected him to be one of these people raving about it, and he didn't do what you did, but basically just kind of I don't... And he's as good a qualification as anyone to be a critic of the movie. Sure. And he's it was a good movie, whatever, but I don't get it? I don't know. Yeah. So it was interesting. That take was interesting to me.
I want you to know right now there's scenes of that movie playing in my head.
Nice.
Making me furious. Just making me downright furious.
Did you say that Vicky creeps you out?
What?
What?
What creeps me out? The parts of the movie creep me out.
It's one of those bad jokes that could have been good, but you didn't get it.
I honestly don't even know if I heard you right.
Would you say that Vicky creeps you out?
No, I don't know what you mean.
That's the name of the woman who played the lead in the movie.
Oh, her name was Vicky?
Creeps?
It's
not spelled that way, but it sure is pronounced that way.
All right. Definitely went over my head.
It sure did. I figured you haven't seen the movie. If you hadn't seen the movie, I wouldn't have made the joke. But I figured she's nominated for Best Actress. You probably were functionally aware of her name.
Wait, Best Actress? Oh, she's nominated for Best Actress. That's right. We went over this last week.
Yes.
Oh, my God. No.
That was supposed to be a joke that made you laugh, not
so angry.
Something that was just going to make you do some sort of variation of like Hulk freaking out.
Yeah, it's definitely raging over here. It's just, I know this is like starting to become the Phantom Thread show, which is what they want, but it just, oh man, did I dislike that movie. And you know what was funny? It was, as we were watching it, it was like, I don't know, halfway through it, maybe a quarter of the way through it, or it starts off and you're just like, okay, see where this goes. You know, quarter of the way through it, you're like, I don't think this is working for me. Halfway through, I'm like, well, we've gotten this far, and then you get to the end and you're just like, no. It's
basically like when you eat an entire bag of Doritos. Like you have the first, like I'm gonna have some Doritos, and then you have the first quarter of the bag and say, yeah, I enjoyed that. Let's have some more.
They can't have less shame
and
when I finish a bag of Doritos.
Eating the Doritos, and you're filled with shame, but you look down and realize, well, there's only about 8 Doritos left. We might as well finish it.
Right. We've come this far. Anyway, so yeah, I'll record it tonight. We'll see if we could throw something together afterwards. It could be fun. We'll see what happens.
The most important part of all of this is it distracted from the not great joke that you didn't understand.
That's fine. That's totally fine.
I was more putting the blame on me for making that bad joke.
That's fine. Cheers. Bring this delicious beer back.
You know I like wordplay.
Playing this one close to the chest.
I forgot you. I'm so glad you remember that.
So, this week's episode is Annihilation. This is the movie that we saw together. And, man, I don't know the right words for this. It's a good movie. I really liked it. Not sure I want to watch it again. I know just right now I don't want to.
Yeah, this is like we said with last year with Logan. I was like, I need some space from this movie. This movie was disturbing and distressing and even scary. I don't often get scared, quote unquote, by movies, but like, you know, not just talking about jump scares, but where it's like, and I'm not talking about either just like visceral dismemberment stuff, because like anyone could be squeamish, that sort of stuff.
Right.
I was genuinely like, there's so many weird things that I could never conceptualize going on in this movie.
Right.
That I'm afraid that you're actually going to come up with something that truly horrifies me.
Right.
Because I couldn't conceive of it before you put it on the screen in front of me.
Exactly. And I think that's kind of what's cool about it, though, and that's what's different. I mean, I know there's books, and if you've read them, I don't know like how close.
Yeah, we'll have to talk to the fact that both it's Alex Garland and Jeff Vandermeer's mind,
right,
bringing us these horror.
So we can get to that, but let's take it from my perspective and from yours, because you didn't read the books either. But like, you're going into this for the first time. You know, you're coming in fresh. You only have like really the trailers to work on. I don't read synopsis beforehand because I don't like any little bit spoiled for me.
I know how to navigate those things without getting things spoiled for me.
You do. I stay away from it entirely because I want to go in fresh.
That's why I know you always like, I don't want to read anything, and I'm always like, no. I checked ahead of time.
This one's
will
okay.
Not spoil anything for you. You will be okay.
But you're right though. The thing about this movie is once the movie starts and gets rolling and you start to understand the concepts of what's going on, understand in loose quotes. What's creepy and crazy about this movie is you literally like you don't know where it's going to go or what's going to happen.
Which is pretty rare nowadays, especially for someone like you and me who, we just watch a ton of TV and movies.
Yeah.
So, there's a certain point, sorry, I was trying to suppress the burp.
We're drinking beer. It's going to happen.
Yeah, well, but like the whole point is I didn't want it to just like blast itself into the listener's ear. I just didn't want that to happen because...
Fair enough. Fair enough.
No, you kind of are able to see where things are going. I mean, like, you'll still be surprised, but it's usually little things, you know, little plot twists, this and that. It's kind of rare once you get to this point of watching stuff like where I always had a decent job for being able to tell where a movie was going or a show was going.
Yeah.
And it's even more enhanced now that I've watched a ton of stuff.
Same.
Like, there's so few new things you can do.
I'll do that all the time. And I'll say, I think this is going to happen. And Kim will be like, how did you know that?
Which I can see, like, you actually, like, I don't know if you were upset or just wanted me to, like, stop so it didn't, like, I was, like, calling stuff out while we were watching it.
At that point, we were on the same page, and I was just, like, so engrossed by the movie. I was like, I just want to hear and see this and nothing else.
See, that's the other thing is I have a talent for, unrelated to that, is, like, when I said, because the scene, we're still under the guise of spoilers, but towards the end of the movie, that time I did it.
Oh, I know exactly.
I have a good sense for nothing is going to happen in the next second.
Sure.
That I will be interrupting. But I can understand when you understand. No,
something's
going to happen.
I'm all about the build up though, and like how we get to the scene because I know it's not gonna happen just yet, but I know it's about to happen, and I want to see every little bit between A and B. and Al, hold on my ear. I shushed you.
You did. It was a shush.
And the guy behind us was probably like, "What are these clowns doing?"
The one guy behind us.
Yeah, one other people I hate. One other guy in the theater.
Was he one row behind us or two?
Row behind us.
I know he was in the seat bank behind us. You know what? I didn't know if it was one or two rows.
I would have actually been less annoyed if he was in the same row as us on the end. There was just something. It's just like all right.
Because
I just
if
feel
he
like
was in the same row on the end, he would have been less close than where he was.
That's how I pictured him the whole time, especially with all this creepy stuff happening in the movie.
Fair,
but anyway, the movie's really. If you like sci-fi movies, if you like interesting
guys, if you haven't seen this yet and you're still listening, if you're squeamish, this may not be the movie you want.
Good point.
Which I'm not a huge fan of that stuff in general, and this walked very close to the line.
Yeah, there was a point
in like two scenes.
There's a scene where I'm looking at Al, but my eyes are on the screen just because I don't want to look directly at it. Like it was gross.
It's fucked in the head. This movie.
Yeah,
and it's creepy. If you don't like movies that make you think, why are you listening to us right now?
Right. Well, okay. There's actually I actually said this to you. This was on one of our chats on the way out of the theater. But if you're a fan of Interstellar, there's probably something about it that you like. Something that I really liked about it, and it is that there's a point in the movie where you just need to let go and just accept what's going on. And just enjoy it, and just accept that this is what's happening, and live in that world for a minute, right? And that makes it really good. And you have to be able to do that with this movie.
Most movies, like most good movies, you kind of have to do that anyway.
But a lot of movies that
there's different levels of suspension.
They build it up though, like to the point where you can kind of walk something back and be like, well, I guess they explain it this way, or walk. But this is like. Not only do they not do that in a lot of situations, they don't have to, and they can't, because this is new. Like, this is not...
It's funny.
It's a foreign concept, like the whole thing to me.
To a certain extent, it's funny. If you've seen the trailers, we're not spoiling anything for you. And I'll be careful. I'm not going to say anything spoiled, but if you've seen the trailer, you know that there's an interrogation from scientists to Natalie Portman's character. And in a lot of ways, those characters are proxy of the audience, because... Yeah. They're asking all these questions and they're not getting satisfying answers, and you can see they're frustrated, but they don't know how to articulate that.
Yeah.
And as a viewer, you could feel the same way to a certain extent. I guess we have more info even than they have, so we're probably less frustrated. Although you're still not left with all your questions answered, which was kind of an interesting.
Which I do like that. I like because I know that there's certain times where that's done and it's a cop out, and you feel like it's because they just didn't know what to do, and then there's certain times where it's done and it's the point. Yeah. And you're supposed to kind of think about these
things.
You
could even, I guess, to a certain extent, say that it's a laziness of not even just the movie, but maybe the author gives more information. I don't know. It's a 2-hour movie, so there's only so much detail you can get into. I don't know how long the book was, but this was written. It's a heady, fucking thought experiment. A lot of this, there's not going to be answers because it's not answerable. You know?
Yeah. I see now. The more as we're talking about it, I know I liked this.
I definitely like the movie. It's just going to be a little while for me to figure out how much. I got to sit on this for a while. It'll be easier for me to rewatch because the scenes where I'm like, I genuinely don't know what's coming next. Now that I know what's coming next, I won't be so off.
There's a lot. What I'm more excited to rewatch it for one reason is that there's a lot of stuff that you notice going on. Like once you start to understand the concept of what's happening, the tattoo. You notice a lot of things happening I want to go back just to watch and see all of the things that I missed, because I'm sure there's plenty.
Yeah.
And that'll be cool. I like that. I like the movie. I don't know. I'm not going to say that because that's semi-spoiler. A couple of things to touch on before we lift the veil. I have written down here the art style and the tone. So the art style, it's just like, it's dark and beautiful at the same time. I don't know if
it was the line she said in the movie when she said it was like a dream sequence, and he said to her, "Nightmarish," and she said, "Yeah, sometimes, but also sometimes beautiful."
Yeah, that's the whole movie.
Yeah.
And then, have you ever played The Last of Us?
No.
So
I'm aware of the game.
It's funny because this topic came up in one of the IGN podcasts that I listened to recently, and it's like I think it was Justin Davis. He was like, I enjoyed playing The Last of Us, but it wasn't fun, right? And I get that statement having experienced the story myself. Like, I love The Last of Us. It's not fun. It's an experience. Like, and it's a good one.
This movie is not watched, it's experienced.
Yeah. That's exactly
Actually, we can talk about that. That was one of my notes here. And I was going to say to you, I told you earlier, I said, I have something to say about the experience of watching this movie that I'll save for the episode. And that's that if for some reason I ever had a desire to try acid, I won't have to now. Watching this movie was doing acid.
Yeah.
Especially the climax of the movie.
Sure.
Was so...
That was the bad acid trip.
The sounds and sights at that time were so overwhelming and hard to interpret and, like, just figure out what is happening. Like, that's why I picked this beer not having any... I've been bringing a sampling of beers to Anthony when we do get together, because it's hard for us to get on the same page all the time. So I bring him a whole bunch of beers, like one of each, so that we'll have the same beer to go on for episodes. But I was thinking about it right after we watched the movie, and I was like, I brought you Focal Banger. That's the one we should do for this episode. And Anthony may not even know what the title of this episode is yet while we're recording it. I've already written it down.
Great.
The audience that you are listening, you know the title, but at this moment in time, Anthony's not aware what the title is.
I'm excited.
And do you want to give it to you now, or do you want to be surprised?
No, I'll wait until there'll just be like a cackle of laughter probably after when I open up the article before I put the audio track.
Flying blind, I respect it. But yeah, this movie is a trip.
Yeah, if you can, I do think that you need the disclaimer that you mentioned before. There's a couple of really gruesome things that happen in there, and normally I wouldn't even mention it. I'd be like, it's one scene, don't worry about it. But it was a little intense. Yeah. So there's that disclaimer. There's the disclaimer of, if you aren't prepared to just go with it, you're not.
If you're not ready to immerse yourself in this movie, it's not for you.
Right. And if you...
Maybe turn the volume down if you're not watching in theaters. That one scene was too much.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a bunch of times where like the audio spiked pretty high.
Yeah.
But if we take that as a 10,
it's like calm it down.
That one thing in the beginning was like a 15 on a scale of 1 to 10, and it was just that one scene, and I was like, that doesn't need to happen again. No. And it was in a scene that was like super intense visually as well.
Right.
And like the audio like literally put me back in my seat. Yeah. Well, it didn't vocally bang me. It audiologically banged me. Like So yeah, the perfect beer for this episode.
That is great. But yeah, and also if you enjoy thinking while watching, like I'm the type of person that will watch the movie and I don't want any other distractions, which is also why I shushed out. Like I don't want it
was a quiet moment.
There's a time where I just want to focus. If you're into that, this is a good one.
Hey Josh, you're probably listening now because I'm going to tell you to go watch this movie and go listen. So, hey Josh.
Hi Josh.
By the way, thanks for not bringing me beer. Kevin did.
Jerk. I mean, moving on.
They were there together.
What's that?
They were in Vermont together.
Oh, okay.
Kevin brought me this beer and Josh didn't.
Thanks, Kevin.
Yeah, he's not going to listen.
Say goodnight, Kevin. Good night, Kevin. Shall we lift the veil?
Sure.
All right, the veil is lifted. Go see this movie if you're if you're not too squeamish. Get it going at it. I'm trying not to jump to the end because there's one really funny thing that I want to talk about. But can we talk a little bit about plot holes up front? Because I think this will be a little funny conversation.
Okay.
So I mentioned this one to you on the way out of the theater. There's a couple of things that I had wrong with this. One, the ground zero for this is a lighthouse. And we decide to walk miles to get to it rather than take a boat.
Well, I'm a little unclear on just how far they had to walk.
It was 6 days, wasn't it?
No.
3 days?
It was 4 months.
No, it wasn't. I think there was like a whole time screw-up refraction thing there.
No.
Was it really that long?
It was, they perceived it as 6 days. That was the whole thing. Is the scientist said, how long did you think you were in there for? And she said, I don't know, days, weeks. And he said it was 4 mons. He said, you had 2 weeks of rations. You were in there for 4 months.
Okay, so either way, I feel like this proves my point even more. It's coming out like a circle.
But the thing is, they didn't have months of walking to do. If you looked at the map, now admittedly there's no scale, so it's hard to tell.
Sure.
But remember, the days that they were citing when they were walking, it was like, oh, it's a couple more hours walk to the lighthouse. Right. 2 hours walk to the lighthouse is not that far.
No.
Through woods, it's like 5 miles.
Still fine. But it was a circle. So...
Well, it was an amorphous blob.
Whatever. If they were to take a boat along the coast...
They still would have had to travel through it.
It would have been safer. Unless a giant, crazy-ass shark, similar to the alligator, came out and destroyed them. Yeah.
Some sharktopus. I wasn't even thinking about
They've actually made a scenario where that could be a thing.
But if you look at the map, you're right. It did extend more over land, but it was extending into the ocean.
It was, but I feel like it would have been easier for them to just straight on get right to it.
We keep sending people in, they can't walk through. It's probably going to be dangerous to ship as well. Also, it wouldn't have been...
One ship! How many crews they send in there? Just try once. Try a different approach. I want to know what other approaches they had. Did they parachute in?
You know what I had trouble
Why not try that?
You know what I had trouble with? 3 years. Yeah. No one knew this was going on.
Yeah.
Like, they knew. But, like, if a section of the U.S. had an expanding section of...
Shimmer.
Anomaly, where they didn't know what it was, they end up calling it the Shimmer. But if there's some anomaly that was causing people to be evacuated... I mean, I understand some of it was a nature preserve, there was a military... Where's their military bases and nature preserves right next to each other?
Did they off all the people that lived there?
No, they evacuated them, they said. Although some of them clearly weren't evacuated because I'm pretty sure those plant people were not only plants.
No, they were.
No, because Tessa Thompson became one.
Good point.
Up until that moment, I thought it was just the explanation she gave about refractions.
Point.
But then they walked through that woods, and there was a whole neighborhood of them, and there was like families, and she was just gone, which means she was one of the plants.
Yeah, that's uncomfortable.
Yes.
Yeah. Also means that she burst into flames later on.
I mean, she accepted. It was weird. Did her acceptance accelerate her death?
Huh.
Because everyone else was fighting.
No. Did she cut herself again? That was the impression that I got.
Well, we never saw any blood.
No, but I don't know how long she was sitting out there.
No, but if you watch,
do they show it beforehand?
When she's kneeling there, it looks like she's like meditating.
Yeah.
And when Lena comes over to her and starts talking to her, we should try and use the character's name.
Sure.
We end up going back and forth.
And well, at this point, you should probably have seen the movie, so let's just go.
When Lena comes up to her and starts talking to her, you don't notice anything physically wrong with her, but as she starts her soliloquy towards the end of that scene, you look down, she has on her forearm sprouts and buds of flowers growing, and then she gets up and starts walking away, and you see some on her arms.
Yeah.
But when the beginning of that scene happened, there was none on her back of her arms.
That's true.
And then as she keeps walking farther away, it's covering her whole arms, and then she gets through the clearing, and she's just gone.
Yeah, that is weird.
So it accelerated. And that's why I was wondering if she had an element of control or if her acceptance accelerated it, because everyone else was fighting it the whole time and their changes were happening very slowly.
Yeah. But
she seemed to have accepted at this point, like, this is what's going to happen. It's my time. And then she's just gone.
Yeah.
You know?
Very weird. I'm curious. I don't know. Which is fine. I'm okay with not knowing that. It's just another interesting.
But it was a little confusing plot-wise. Because it didn't seem like Kane was gone for a year, but he's gone for a year.
Right.
She said she perceived them being gone for a week or so, and she was gone for 4 months. Now, admittedly, on the front end, we already knew that timeline was going to be screwy because 3 days happened and it seemed like she blinked.
Right.
Which that was... I have a whole note about that. We can get into that after if you want to keep talking about plot stuff. Because another one we had mentioned right before we started the show was the idea of Dr. Ventress having cancer.
That was a weird one.
Yeah, I guess it wasn't a super important plot hole, but it seemed like a little one.
It did actually...
More like a plot convenience than a plot hole.
In the end, her having cancer didn't seem relevant. Because I know at that what they were kind of getting at, and which they did for each character, was give them a reason as to why they were willing to go into this thing. Mm-hmm. And I much preferred the reason that she was willing to go into that. They didn't just
imply it. They flat out stated it. The shepherd basically said everyone has their reason.
Right. But I was much happier with the reason that she was going in, it being that she feels responsible that all of these other people have gone in and died.
So it was a combination of the two, right? I feel responsible, and my last living act will be to fix this.
Yeah. Which I guess is fine. I like the more tormented version of it. It's a twisted thing to say, but I don't know, the cancer thing. It just seemed like a weird tie. It almost seems like there might be more to that if the book goes in a similar direction.
It was just confusing because you could tell there was something going on with her, but not that. And Natalie,
it would make sense that she was
she had cancer.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess it would make sense. She studies cancer, so it might make sense that she would have picked up on.
She doesn't have cancer radar.
No, I know, but she might know of she might have any sort of background on psychological responses to it.
Maybe, but that would have made more sense if it was the other way around, and the psychologist was the one who figured it out.
Yeah, I don't know. The thing is, it just didn't seem necessary.
I mean, I think it worked.
It was fine. It was just not...
I just didn't like the reveal of it. Didn't make sense. Because they didn't actually hint at it, even though she's like, I guessed it. It's like,
right.
You guessed it based on what? Because usually when you do that sort of thing in a movie, you leave something for the audience to guess at as well.
Sure.
I didn't see that.
What I was wondering is, okay, I wonder if this is if it's gonna play into it more. I thought maybe this is gonna be a really weird thing where she's also gonna get out, but she doesn't. We know that early on.
If you're paying attention, you realize everyone's dead or presumed
or gone. But I always thought maybe it had an interesting effect on her cancer while she was in there, which could have been a really weird and cool plot line.
It was freaky when she walks in, her eyes are just...
What was that about?
But then they weren't gone when she turned around.
She had a mushed face, and then she didn't.
Well, the worst part is, did you notice it when you first saw her? When you very first see her when she's going into the cave, you can't see the mush, but you can tell there's something wrong with her face.
Yeah.
They purposely shadow it so you can't see, but her profile is wrong.
I don't know what that was about. Well, was it the start of it happening?
No, I think it was supposed to be some sort of symbolic or allegorical thing because it was basically because you think when she's talking about trying to perceive what it wants and what its desire is and whether it has desire, and she says, "I can't see," and that was what it was. She couldn't see, and I think it was supposed to be symbolic, like the wool being pulled over her eyes, type of thing.
Right. Interesting.
That was just freaky.
That was weird. But okay, so continuing on plot holes, I think there's one more that I mentioned to you earlier today. At the end, when the phosphorus grenade goes off and it catches the humanoid, and then it spreads to the rest of this thing and sets all of those things on fire because it had a chain reaction because it's all connected in some way or the other. I expected I would think that Natalie Portman would also Lena was her name? I think Lena would also burst because she's got her cells are mutated by the same.
I guess so.
Thing. It's just odd to me.
Well, but the thing is, she was changing, but she wasn't a part of the construct.
Interesting,
right? Because everything you saw burned down was connected via those tendrils.
That's fair. That's fair. Question: does Plant Lady get connected, and did she incinerate?
Plant Lady being...
Was it Vera? No, Vera.
No.
That
Josie?
Something with a V. Didn't it? Was it something with a V?
Tessa Thompson?
No.
Josie Reddick?
Reddick. Oh, I got the V from. Dr.
Ventress?
Maybe. But...
Different characters.
But she became a tree. I would imagine she became
flower person.
She turned into flower power. And I would imagine at some point she probably, her roots probably set in.
Yes. No, I think they all died.
Okay, so she got set ablaze.
Yes. Okay. I would imagine so. They didn't show it because it was a different area of the reach.
Okay. I guess that's fine. I guess so. This is a weird cleanup job because then that means all of the mutant animals are still alive.
I would think they're probably dead. I don't know
Why?
Because they fully changed. Maybe they were still changing. Maybe they are still alive.
I don't think they fully changed.
I hope now without the shimmer and driving them insane and possibly messing with their mind. I hope that team.
Why is this bear yelling at me with a human's voice?
That was disturbing. That was truly.
It was the worst. That was I can't remember a recent time where I've been more uncomfortable in a movie.
It's like several times in this movie too.
Yeah.
Because I guess if we want to get into that part, that was what I was.
Let's go to
just
it.
Before. When I said this movie is an experience, I experienced along with them the disorientation of when they first wake up after they've gone through the shimmer,
which was nicely alluded to earlier on. Yeah, with that when they woke up, they're like, She's like, I'm disoriented. She's like, yeah, we all are. And then like 30 minutes later, you're like, yep, me too.
No, I was in that moment. I went through the panic that Shepard went through at the same time because, well, all of them, I guess, because they each had a piece of it where. She's like, I don't remember going to sleep. And they're like, yeah, do you remember setting up camp? None of us do. She's like, last thing I remember was walking through the tree line. And they're like, yeah, it's a good thing you woke up. We've been pooling our resources, and we've eaten 3 days worth of food.
Yeah.
And no one remembers anything that's happened.
What was that about, though? What was that disorientation about?
I imagine going into whatever. Because remember, she was saying about the refraction of the radio waves and the magnetivity and all that.
So your brain got all scrambled.
Yeah, and also it's influencing them. It reminded me a little bit to a certain extent for the 30th time, something from Mass Effect, and I know you played the first one, and the whole idea of Reapers being able to just influence the mind and the radio waves and all those sorts of like the radiation. Like changing the way our mental chemistry works and stuff like that, because it wiped their memories.
So weird.
And I remember, like, as I was watching this, I'm like, okay, radio communications are going, which they probably knew ahead of time because they were, and that's what she said. We spend radio silence every time we send a crew in. Like, this can't be a surprise to you. She pulls out the compass. Well, it doesn't work, and then they're talking a few minutes later, and it's like, we'll just head south. And my first thought was, how are they going to know where south is?
Right.
Because at this point in this world, I'm like, okay, so we can't use a compass because the magnetic waves are moving in a way that are affecting the compass. And, she says, come on, use your head. You put your hand up, go face this way toward the sun. This is the way you know that south is. And in my mind, I'm like, I can't trust anything else that's happening. Why would I trust that the sun is actually in the east or west?
And that's interesting that you say that because...
I went through a little mini panic thing where I'm like, oh my God, how would you? I know I'm not in it, but I'm just picturing myself being in there, and I'm like, how would you figure it out? All the little things that they teach people how to do land navigation on, how would you believe any of it in this place if you can't believe the simple fundamental things?
And that's funny because we learn, maybe 3/4, almost maybe 2/3 through the movie about the refraction.
Yeah.
Right? So... And she mentions that the radio waves are scrambled because they are refracted.
Yeah.
Wouldn't the light have been refracted as well?
That's what I've been wondering this whole time.
I wonder if
how would you know what up or down?
Yeah,
left, right,
in
north,
a
south,
6-hour version of this movie, they go the wrong way for days.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure that explains why it took 4 months for them to do it.
Right.
Well, or maybe
that's really interesting.
Maybe the whole idea of time. I mean, the way that refraction works like that in that way, like if you take a crystal or like if you take a prism and you have light and you put light through it and it comes out as colors. It's because the light waves literally are slowed down in that medium, and that's why they come out in different colors.
Sure.
For anyone who doesn't know how prisms work, it could be the same thing where they're literally moving through the way you would move through a viscous material, where if you're walking through molasses, if this affects them at the molecular level, which it is, would it not be slowing their movement and thoughts and all those things that they perceived it as 6 days because that's how it felt to them moving through at that pace.
That's crazy.
The way that fast and relativistic travel works, and in theorized interstellar travel.
Right. I don't know. This is That's what I love about this. It's like thinking about these things. Like this is a movie that's going to have a. We'll be talking about this long after this episode ends, I'm sure, and like we'll be probably checking in on it. There's going to be like random epiphanies, I'm sure, like throughout time where we'll be like, oh, let's just bring that back up on a future episode. What did you think? There was an interesting thing with the characters that I kind of liked. So each character has, and this is based on. This all kind of unfolds in that whole scenario of finding out like this is like each person has a reason why it's kind of like okay that they're in here or like why they would have volunteered to come in here.
What type of person volunteers?
They each and they each have a deep backstory that you get a little bit of, but it's enough.
Yeah,
and that's really cool.
With the
and that's
exception
really well done.
One person, and that was like kind of the one thing that irritated me. Well,
which one?
1.5 people. I really thought they underused Tessa Thompson, and I guess part of the reason that I felt that way was just because I like her a lot as an actress.
Okay. Well, what else is she in?
She was in Thor Ragnarok.
Oh,
she was Valkyrie.
Yeah. Okay.
And she's also in Westworld.
Yeah, I don't know. What, I maybe not gotten that far? Or is she in?
Did you not finish the show?
No, I didn't finish it.
Oh.
I'm only like 2 or 3 episodes into it.
Oh,
I honestly have to restart the show.
I thought you would watch the whole show.
No, I really wanted to.
No, she comes like halfway through the show and then she comes for like the rest of it.
Okay.
Sorry, I thought you had finished that show for some reason.
Oh, she was really good in Thor.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. I didn't even realize that's who that was.
Yeah.
Very cool.
It was funny because she's playing a completely different character and then she's playing kind of like a damaged, like, meek physicist, and in that she's playing a alcoholic badass warrior.
it's interesting, but there's all the characters. I feel like the characters worked really well together.
But the other one obviously being Shepard because she's removed from the story pretty early on.
Yeah, very soon. But there's something about like the fact that her and Lena start to bond, and then that the only person that she's really bonding with is then taken away. And it's like, it just throws the whole thing even more disarray for her, which is just like...
It's true. It's funny because the person she was closest with was the doctor, but you never really got the idea that either of them liked each other.
Right.
But they understood each other.
Sure.
So they had a bond of their own. It's just a different sort. Like, you can see that she genuinely liked... I keep forgetting. Is it Julie? Josie.
Which one?
Josie.
Oh. That was the doctor's name? No, that was...
Josie Raddick. Tessa Thompson.
Oh, Tessa. Yeah. I don't know. Honestly, they only mentioned last names throughout the movie. I don't think they ever said a first name, except for Lena.
Lena and Josie, they said. All of them. They said all their first names. Because they kept just calling her Anya. But in the beginning, when he's asking about each of the people, he says Thorensen, and I didn't know who he was talking about.
Interesting.
Because at that point, we hadn't met any of the characters, and he said Shepard Thorensen, and I thought Shepard Thorensen was a person for the next couple minutes.
That's really funny.
It's like, who the shit is Shepard Thorensen? And then they talk to her later, she's Cass Shepard, because remember, she kept screaming Cass when she was getting dragged away.
Oh, okay, I do remember that.
I didn't realize, I eventually figured out that Anya was Thorensen, because they didn't call her Thorensen, they only called her Anya, because less syllables.
Yeah.
But then Dr. Ventress never had a first name, she's just Ventress.
Yeah, she sucks. It's a funny
thing. What about
her
socks, Anthony?
Her face. No, from the minute she's on screen, like, I don't like you.
Yeah.
But then I think that maybe that's where the cancer aspect came in, to give you a reason why, like, she seems very disconnected from the other human in the room, and like I'm like, oh, this one's a bitch. Like, and that's how I felt until that dropped. I was like, oh, okay, maybe that's the reason. But at the same time, it's just like, but then that didn't really. If that's the case, that didn't play further into the movie at all. So
I mean, I feel like it's pretty easy to figure out why she's bitchy and disconnected. 3 years of existential dread and cancer.
I know. I get. Well, the cancer. Yeah. Again, the cancer.
The existential dread is a pretty easy reason.
It is, but the thing is, to a degree, she needs help from this person, and I don't care. Like, I don't care what you're hung up on. Like, with this existential dread. I don't care. You need this person's help. You're not going to get it. You're wasting time. Just explain the situation, because you're going to have to anyway. This thing, if you don't figure it out, we're all dead. So why don't you just
and that's
explain?
What's playing into the psychology of her being a bitch, is because she doesn't know how to answer these questions. existential dread.
She was just brutal.
Sure, she was, but at least I felt like I got a handle on it earlier.
Yeah. Also, let me just add on top of that. I get why the character is like that. I just hate her.
I mean, I wasn't even a fan of her either.
I was gonna say I don't want you to think this person's not a good character. I actually think she was actually a really good actor too. What's her name?
Jennifer Jason Leigh.
She's
been in a lot of things. Not a lot of things I've seen, but I was aware of her before this.
Yeah, I have seen her.
Although I didn't realize like that's who it was. Like I saw her and I was like, she looks familiar. And then I saw the name and I was like, oh, okay. I
actually really liked the cast.
Good cast.
I thought the chemistry between them throughout, like these four women that are going through that are. Yep.
Shepard died.
Sorry, one of them left us really soon.
I mean, the thing is, though, it wasn't really that soon. It was soonish.
It wasn't? Well, you get like, I don't know, you get about 20 minutes before they kind of meet, and then you get about 25-ish minutes.
Still a pretty good hunk of the movie.
Yeah, that's fair. It's one scene. Sorry,
it's like the middle third of the movie.
It's kind of funny to me, and also terrible. After they cut the guy open, which is the scene that we were dancing around before the spoiler scenario.
Oh, you mean the guy with snake intestines?
Yeah, the intestines that move. Trick of the light.
That like not only did it walk up to the very edge of the line, it even like dipped its toe over the line for like how far I wanted to see that go. It made me uncomfortable. A lot.
Let's just, before we get to this part that I'm talking about, let's break down that whole thing. So we got this whole scene, right, where they find the sand disk or the memory. That's like a brand name. I don't like when I do that. We find the memory,
like a Kleenex embedded.
Yeah. Like... we find that. Although honestly, I'm never gonna say medical adhesive strip.
Bandage.
Bandage is fine. They find the memory card. They watch the video. We see two videos.
I think in one of the trailers at one point, you actually not only see the crazy found footage, you see him getting ready to hack him open, and I genuinely... Do you? I think in one of the trailers, I knew that he was about to cut him open. I just didn't know why.
Oh, you know what? I think you're right, and I kind of... That's actually funny. This movie pulled a little bit of a bait and switch because I thought there was going to be these things that were inside the shimmer that were, like, attacking people, and... Well,
there was Crazy Bear.
No, but like
albino croc.
But I meant like a
snake intestines.
Almost like an alien species that is just there, like or something like that. That is There's multiple of them, and they're doing this thing.
Like a predator.
But it
style
wasn't.
Thing, like
it was just, which actually kind of makes it really. I feel even more unique.
Yeah.
But that scene. So they go through this whole thing. That scene, I like the two. Like video diaries that we get.
That was cool.
That we get because it was
a cool way to use that device because a lot of times it's either overused or used in the wrong way. This was probably the right way because we go through the same thing as the audience.
Yeah.
Like as like the people who are like the audience itself goes through the same thing that the people watching the found footage are going through. But at the same time, we're just as interested to see what their reaction to it is, which isn't always the case when you see that in a movie.
Did it just get really dark?
That
was creepy. Okay. And now I got light.
I mean, it felt a cloud and it went over the sun. I know, it's not that hard to figure out.
I know, but it was intense. It was like nighttime, daytime. So we get Harvey. Harvey face. Scary face. So we get they find the video footage and then I almost puke. And then they pull away from the video camera and the one girl is just trying to dismiss it because her brain can't comprehend it, which I get.
Doesn't want to.
Yeah, she doesn't want to.
Neither did I.
And then we realize Lena's gone. She's run away. At this point, she's thinking and to herself.
No, Dr. Ventress walked away.
No, Lena was not in the scene anymore. Go back and watch it. She at some point she must have walked away because when they pull back out,
Dr. Ventress is the one who figures out
based on that where they were.
Which,
right, and so she's off the side, and then the doc runs down the hall, and you're like, I knew exactly what she was doing. Like I was actually excited. I was like, oh, we're gonna go find him. We're gonna go see about this guy. And then they all like, oh, where's she going? And they just follow him like, where's going? And they get into the pool, and you see the pool tiles. I'm like, this is gonna be weird. And then as you see it, it's like, oh, it's weird. It's weird. It's so weird.
I was so ready for them to be attacked by
like a zombie,
a snake intestine monster.
Right.
In that scene.
Right. Yeah, because at that point you still have no clue what's going on.
Yeah, at that point, it could have just been creepy intestines, or it could have been snakes.
Right.
For intestines.
Until we know now that it's that he's his
and
cells are mutating and moving. But
that weird, funky, moldy tableau to be just snakes.
Yeah.
Like, a la, like, the Fellowship of the Ring when the Watcher grabs them from out of the lake. Like,
but like that was really creepy. And what's even like, it was pretty because of all the colors. But then when you look at what's actually there, it's like,
how did he get so tall?
He expanded from the inside.
Like, there was clearly a separation because you see his normal legs, like weirdly, like 90-degree angle out from the wall. And then, like, some spine, and then, like, upper torso was up there, and then still the skull up above that.
Yeah, and then the jaw
it's like 15,
from
it's like 15 feet tall.
Oh, yeah. That was really creepy. And so this is where this was leading. This is probably one of the funnier moments, even though it wasn't meant to be funny.
She grabs a knife?
Well, she grabs a knife, but she also goes, I don't want to stay here tonight. I'm like, yeah, me neither.
I'm so going to look forward to walking out of here at 12:30 p.m. and it being so sunny. And there's going to be cars and it's going to be normal and there's not going to be trees around me.
Right.
I'm really glad this is not a drive-in theater right now.
Yeah, that was, oh man. But that was a really creepy scene. But then that's the second weird thing we see, right? Aside from all the foliage. Like we see the alligator, then we see then we see the intestine. Well, no, the alligator was weird.
It wasn't that weird.
It
still looked like an alligator.
But when the alligator's mouth opened,
yeah, there was something going on down his
there was like a circle of teeth. It almost looked like a sarlacc pit.
You know what? On a scale of 1 to 10, as far as this movie goes, that was like a 2.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. So we got that. Then we got this. We got the the whole moving intestines thing, which we thought were snakes, and then we got this exploded man, and then we get bear, and we only see the bear for a split second.
Scream bear.
Point. It's not Scream Bear at this point, which is what's
also I was so
really
sure
creepy.
It was a giant wolf at the first.
I thought it was a dinosaur, so I'm glad that it turned out that it was just a bear. but that bear was creepy. That bear, though. Let's talk about the bear.
You want to know how I want to talk about that bear?
Go ahead.
You know what my note says?
What?
Fuck that bear.
I love it. So when she hears the scream from outside, I know it's not. Actually, here's what I thought. I knew it wasn't going to be good.
I thought she was back.
So did I.
Like zombified.
Like a zombie.
Some sort of
right.
thing. Or like some sort of freak monster where we were going to get like one of those like, oh God, please help me, as she's like almost like werewolfing and like ready to come and
like with like her head. She's like nearly headless Nick. Like her head is
something like that.
Yeah, she was bit in the throat earlier.
Yeah, I didn't expect it to be a bear doing that. Although there's precedent for that in a movie I've seen actually. Now that I'm thinking about it, have you ever seen? It's not really a great movie.
You're selling it real well.
It's a horror movie with a couple of weird, like, oh, I've seen that guy in one thing before, like. Remember the X-Men movies, like the original trilogy X-Men movies? Remember Iceman?
Yeah.
He plays like a hippie stoner.
Hippie stoner?
Yeah, it's weird.
Wasn't Iceman played by Mike in The Following?
Yes. I forgot you watched that show. You didn't watch the last season.
No, I think I watched like 2... How many seasons were there?
3.
Yeah, I think
you saw the first 2. I remember us talking about the 3rd season.
Yeah.
And you were asking me about it because you never actually got around to watching it.
Yeah, that sounds right.
So yeah, it's a movie about these like kids, like college kids who go on like this like tourism thing. And
I'm sorry, what was it called?
The thing is called The Ruins.
Okay.
They're going to like Mexico and they're going to like
I actually remember seeing a trailer for
Mayan or Aztec ruins or something like that. And the ruins are populated by this really smart, terrifying carnivorous plant.
Okay.
And the locals who live in the area, they think like the locals are the ones killing people, and they've killed a few of them, but not maliciously. It's because the plant does like spores and stuff like that, and they know if anyone gets into these ruins and goes out, it's going to carry the plant elsewhere. So they kill the people to keep them from spreading the plant and having it take over the world.
Jesus. That's actually creepy.
It's actually a pretty unsettling movie. Yeah. Even though some of the CGI is questionable, some of it's not. And there's some fucked up shit that happens in that movie, including like plants disassembling someone and eating it at one point. Yep, that wasn't great.
Things have been
But one of the things was, like, they had a cell phone and they were trying to use it and they had spotty service because this was, like, 2005 in Mexico. So, you know, and movies about that probably aren't great with dealing with that situation either. But they lose the cell phone, it falls down into the ruin at one point, and then they hear the phone ringing and they're like, oh, let's go get the phone. But it wasn't the phone ringing, it was the plant mimicking the phone to lure them into the ruin.
Oh my god.
And that, I'm only just realizing, I didn't think about it back when we were watching the movie or afterwards. It was just as we're talking about it right now that it reminded me, like, oh my god, I've seen something almost as horrifying. Like,
I've seen this before too.
Okay.
Sarah Connor. The T-1000 imitates.
That's different. Shapeshifting is not the same thing. You see that a million times.
All right. But, so the bear...
Artificial intelligence, man.
The bear is mimicking her voice, which...
Her screams for help.
Her scream, which was the worst part about it, is because... You know what's... Okay, it's funny, because that was the most disturbing thing to me until the next thing, which... So the bear comes in the room.
Well, the funny thing is...
Screaming.
Yes.
And then turns the corner.
After and Anya ran out and she screamed and stopped making noise.
Right. So there was silence. Screams. Uh-huh. Is that you?
Then
runs outside.
Footsteps.
Screams. Silence. Creepy footsteps. Bear turns the corner. Human eye. I know you didn't see it. But the bear has a human's eye. It's just gigantic.
I was more focused on the like spectral skeleton nature of its head, like where it was like they kept calling it a bear, and I was like, but is it?
It was like a bear and human head like merged together.
Yeah, because it was weird,
really, really creepy. And one eye
focused
was there
on the structure of the head and the eye.
It made me so uncomfortable.
Everything.
And then it looked right at we said her name 12 times already.
Lena.
Reddick.
Josie Reddick.
Reddick, and screamed at her face.
Yep.
And I was like, nope. I'm done. I'm done with the scene.
Done.
Let's fast forward 2 minutes to the point where whoever else dies, and we've killed this thing, because this scene is terrifying.
She finally found her steel in that moment, though. She fucked that bear up.
Yeah.
In that moment, we were all hurt.
And then she became the plant.
She became one
with the trees. She does a lot of work with breezes.
Well, the thing I was confused about, the one thing I was confused about with that whole situation was, I thought it was mocking them with the scream, that it was using it to hunt. Because it seemed to be their reaction to it was what caused it to attack or not. Because it was circling them for a while and not doing anything. Uh-huh. And that's when she said, don't react. Because obviously the reason it fucked up Anya was because she went out there to go kill it.
Yeah.
But what they were talking about it after, she said the last things it heard was her screams and that lived on through it.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh. I mean, I guess I could understand that too from the whole hypothesis of refraction and everything like that. But to me, I thought it was, nope, bear, apex predator. It's learning how to hunt, and it's hunting by using your fear.
Yeah.
I thought that was a calculated, horrifying, terrible thing.
The third most unsettling part of that scene was where it just had its mouth on her shoulder, and I was like, oh, it's going to rip her arm right off.
See, the funny thing is I almost laughed during that, which was weird considering how disturbed I was what was going on, because it was not all that different from what Dominic's puppy does to me. In which it just sits there and then slowly decides he's going to try and bite me. And he's a little guy.
Yeah.
And he just tries to put his mouth around my gigantic forearm and just sits there because he's like, I can almost hear the wheels turning in his head where it's like, I really want to bite you, but I can't actually close my mouth around your arm. Like, not even around half of your arm. And I keep wondering, why do you keep trying, dude? Because my forearm is way bigger than your mouth.
Oh, man. Oh, but that creepy bear has to go, man. And then
it got.
She murderballed that bear.
It got.
It did. By all the bullets.
Yeah,
and then it was like, and then it fell over.
Yeah. It took a while to die.
Yeah.
You know what? Kudos to you, Bear, but also go fuck yourself.
And then, so we get that, and then Reddick becomes one with the planet. And then they were like pacing jumps a little bit.
She became Captain Planet.
Worse. And then the pacing picks up a little bit so that we can end the movie, which is, I feel like, it's funny because I feel like that's what happened with at that point in the movie.
The majority
they
of
were
the
like, you
movie
know
was
what, let's wrap
a
this
slow
up.
burn, but it was like, at this point, let's get going.
Yeah, be like, you get it, everything's weird. We're good? Because you need to know that everything's weird before we jump into what's happening next.
And because we're going to literally...
Let's go.
You think you're watching a movie, but no, you've just been so distracted by the horrifying things that have been going on that while you're doing that, someone's been sneaking around, injecting you with acid, and it's about to go now.
So we finally get to the lighthouse. And in the lighthouse, I'm so glad that
you had the
exact
same reaction.
Exact thought that I had. So she opens the door to the lighthouse, and there's a person who is charred, and there's just what looks like a fireball hit him, and there's just soot all around,
and there's a hole in the wall and a hole in the floor, and it's like we both had the same exact thought.
Damn, you were in the wrong place at the wrong time.
That dude got melted by that.
Yeah, it seems like that guy was sitting there, and the thing that landed early on in the movie that went through the lighthouse went through the lighthouse into his face. Yeah. Which we learned quickly is not the case, which made it even better, which was just like, whoa. So as that's happening, and the video when Lena's watching the videotape, and I see him doing it.
In case you guys were wondering earlier, this is the point when Anthony shushed me.
Yeah, that's right.
Because as soon as she put it on, I was like, "Oh no!" Because I knew what was coming. Yeah.
So, because you see all the other military gear too, so I'm expecting very similar results. So it's funny because it's almost as if he's there talking. Now, at this point, did you expect there to be somebody behind the camera?
Oh yeah.
Okay, I didn't, which I really liked. Because the way that it plays out...
No, that's why I oh-no'd it. Because it wasn't just that I knew that was Kane. I knew that from the beginning. Well, I didn't know at the beginning, but from the second I saw the camera, I realized it wasn't Kane who came out of the shimmer. I didn't need to see the whole video. Mm-hmm. The only thing I didn't know was what exactly was that went out there. Right. That was the only thing I needed to still figure out. But all I knew was it was not Kane.
So I got that. I didn't know though that which for me it's more of like the micro view of this of the fact that this other thing's in the room at this time, which I didn't know going into it. So
well, I basically in that moment narrowed it down to one of two things. We kept talking about refraction, and when Kane came out, he said, "I recognized you." I was down to two things. One, it's some sort of alien life form that's mimicked him, which is what ultimately ends up happening. Or two, the idea of refraction, if one of the other members of the squad, if that moment refracted onto him. Yeah. That was the only thing I was down between. Yeah. But whatever it was, I knew that there was someone else there, and then at that moment...
I definitely didn't know somebody else was there. Like, I had similar thoughts as to what had, like, that it wasn't him outside and all that stuff. But, so that's why it really got me, this scene, because he's there and he's talking. And it's set up and it's shot really well, because he's talking to the camera.
Yes.
And he's talking to whoever's going to watch the video until he says...
Tell Lena.
And I'm like... What's happening? Because his eyes also shift to the side, just ever so slightly, where he's not looking at the camera anymore. And I'm like, and then he kills himself, and then he comes on screen again. I'm like, what's going on? What's happening? And that was really good. That was really good. And we saw on the camera. Did he take the camera? I forget if it was like a flash sequence or if it was like. If it was from the camera where like he looked in the hole and you saw the being. Was it in the camera?
I don't remember if it was in the camera, if it was almost a sense of her sensing what had happened. I wasn't 100% sure if it was in the video or if it was one of those like flash sequences where it's like
I don't remember.
She's... Because remember, it's playing with their mind. I'm wondering if it's one of those, like, if it was kind of like an imprinted memory on her or if it was on the screen. I'd have to watch it again.
Right.
But it's one of those two things. Because it happens all in that same cluster of... sequence,
which is that's the I guess what made it a little disorienting, but like that was crazy. But then we get that was such a good scene though, and it's terrible. And then also it's
that's something I want.
Have an accent.
That's something I wanted to talk about. Yeah, which she should have realized it before then because he had like a twang in that video, but he doesn't when he talks to her when he came home.
No. And he doesn't really... Well, he doesn't have a lot of lines in earlier scenes.
Well, and he's clearly affected mentally, but you could understand why you'd expect, while his cadence may be off, his voice and accent to be normal, and if it wasn't, that she would have picked up on that before she picked up on he was messed up, because they were talking for a bit before he starts to fall apart.
Very weird.
But that was actually the one thing that I took from this, because we talked about some... Actually, we didn't talk about it in the plot holes part, but it was kind of a plot hole the way her and her copy interacted.
Oh, yeah.
The fact that it like was stopping her, even though it should have been mirroring... Like, it was mirroring her, except for when it was convenient for her to stop her.
And that was a little frustrating.
Unless it was one of those things where it was like, it was trying to figure out how to mimic her, and by her escaping, it wouldn't be able to.
Maybe.
That's, I guess... Which, I mean, that's probably a pretty good argument for that, right?
Yeah, I guess
if she gets away, it can't continue to learn.
Well, I think that is probably what it is, because like at first it feels like it's supposed to be a reflection.
It is, because it's moving in almost exactly it's moving in exactly this way that a person who is so quick in reflexes would be able to mirror your movements.
But I guess you're supposed to understand that it's not an act, like it's not just this entity that is a reflection of her. It is something that is like trying to reflect her. So I guess that's the only thing that makes it okay.
Yeah. It's just weird. Like, you just kind of have to wrap your mind around it. But it's weird, or maybe kind of cool, that he found a way to coexist with it briefly.
Interesting. Yeah. Well, we don't know what they went through together.
I know. Well, that's what I'm saying. I wonder how long her first instinct, which would probably be my first instinct, is no, bad. Yeah. I'm going to kill this thing because no.
Yeah. Oh, and you want to kill the monster with no face?
Yes. That when I shoot has these weird tentacles coming out of its back.
What was that? That was weird.
But he found a way to, albeit probably not all that long a period of time, coexist. Like, they made arrangements together. He said, "Hey, man, record me. I'm going to go kill myself. And once I've killed myself and you've recorded my last will and testament, go find my wife."
I also wonder...
And he does.
If in that time, did he understand... Like, we don't know what happened between him meeting this thing and them becoming
Sure, they were technically in there for a year, so they had more time to think about
it. They became best friends.
Albeit, at that point, his mind also would have been more degraded than any of theirs was. But also, he had to cut his friend open and watch his intestines for him.
That's true. I'm curious, though, if like it explained things to him.
Except for the fact that he ended up killing himself. He really did a better job than any of the women did going in there, which is weird.
What do you mean?
Because he had this whole analytical thing, and he got his two buddies to hold the one dude around to hold him down so they could videotape and document his insides turning into snakes. The women tried to kill themselves, and in the trailer they make it, and even a lot of the movie they make it look like the guys went crazy and they killed each other, but they didn't.
Wait, who tried to kill themselves? Oh, you mean, well, the one tried to kill the three of them,
yes,
or at least one of them. That's true. They did make it look the other way. They made it look like one of them was going crazy.
Because remember, that was one of their two prevailing theories: something's hunting them, or they went crazy and killed themselves.
Here's another issue with the plot. That whole thing. These are the two theories. Those theories are based on jack shit, and that bothered me.
Well, no, they're both valid. It's just they shouldn't be the only two theories.
That's more what I mean. Like
there should be other theories.
Okay, great. That doesn't mean that if these are the two theories, these are the only two things that could happen.
Yes.
So it was like, okay, enough with this. Like this is annoying. I think that she handled it the best, though.
Well, no, he tried to coexist. She tried to kill it.
I don't know if he did, or maybe like you were saying, because we don't know how long it took him to. Maybe he was just completely degraded to the point where, like, maybe he was communicating with a thing, and it was just like, this is how it is, and he's just like seeing like colorful deer running around. Like, he could have just been like not even there.
Well, just didn't have enough left to fight. She still had the
wherewithal to be like, I'm getting home because I know what's up now, like to a degree.
I guess so.
And I thought that was a really great scene. Like it was.
No, it was cool seeing her outthink it and trick it.
But it was also heartbreaking because like you realize the thing doesn't actually seem violent.
Well, no, not just that. Well, it was It was uncomfortable.
Wait, what part?
All of it.
It was uncomfortable, but it was like also like this thing is just like it was almost like a newborn.
I mean, it assaulted her And also, it looked like it was trying to.
It was not. It wasn't though. It was just trying to.
Seemed an awful lot like that's what was going on.
But it was funny that not funny. It was kind of sad because.
But I will agree. In the moment that the grenade's about to go off, it's almost like this thing kind of is childlike, as
yeah.
But also, it was unholy, and you know what it was. You remember Dawn of the Dead?
Vaguely.
Remember when they killed the zombie baby?
Yes.
That's what it was. It's like, it's not your fault you are the way you are, but you need to die.
Oh my god. But, oh my goodness.
I'm not wrong.
Alright. You're not. It's just brutal. But yeah, in that scene though, like, so she pulls the pin on the grenade, she's holding the hands, and, which I guess made it even creepier as it, right before it fully turns into her is when she runs away. But I was just like, you could almost...
And also got shorter because it was going from one person to Natalie Portman.
I feel like it was like, I have a present!
not just that, like, oh, we're done fighting? We can be friends now?
Yeah.
Oh, and you've given me a gift.
And then it sets the thing.
Thank you. I will cherish this for the rest of my natural...
Burns down everything.
Yeah.
Which, the chain reaction, I thought was a really interesting...
Was that like a fuck you moment? Like, you know what? I was just trying to hang out, guys.
Let's just be friends.
And then you set me on fire? Fine, fuck this. I'm leaving. Burn it all down.
Yeah.
I'm going home.
Yeah, I don't know. That was pretty intense. We skipped over the actual annihilation that happens in the movie, which is
and Jennifer Jason Leigh saying the title in the movie.
Right. She said it. But when she gets annihilated and then turns into this blob, and this was the thing that I was mentioning earlier, like, you need to, at this point, you need to just get on board if you're not already, because otherwise you're not going to like the rest of this. Like, no. you just gotta
not that there was that much more going on anyway, but...
Well, it's from that point on is when we get the weird mirror monster.
I'm just saying, the movie was almost over.
Yeah, but, again, you have to... By this point, you've probably bought in, but if not, it's like, now's the time. It's like...
Now or never.
It's, get in or just get out. Because this is going to get, like... It's going to get weird before it gets better. And it's also... It's not going to get better. It's just going to stay weird. But, so when it turns into that, like, weird blob thing which resembled a lot of different things at different times. Mm-hmm. Like, it was just a blob, and then it looked like a planet with trees growing on it, and then it looked like an eyeball, and then it, like, looked like it was focused on her. And then the blood, and the blood came off of her nose.
Yeah, it had a whole gravitational thing going on.
It was weird, and it pulled the blood, and it became the being. I don't know if that was relevant. I guess I don't really understand. I don't think that meant anything. Did it need to have her blood? That was weird, and honestly, it doesn't matter.
It needed to have her blood. I just don't think there's anything to be drawn out of the way it got it.
You think it needed to have it? You said
yes. Why? To be her. It could have been anything.
But it took her to touch it for it to start to change to her.
No.
Yeah.
It took her blood touching her.
No.
She never touched it.
Yeah, she did. She held its hand. When she holds its hand, it starts to turn into her.
Oh,
yeah.
sorry.
When she says, "I'm your friend, here, take this present."
We're talking about different stuff. I'm talking about when it took the blood from her at the beginning. We're talking about two separate parts of the scene.
Yeah, but why? I'm saying, why did it take the... Like, I don't... What was the meaning of that?
I think it was just seeking out a new thing to copy, and that was what was closest.
But it didn't copy her until...
It started...
It copied her movements. It didn't copy her look or anything.
Well, but that's what gave it form. Before that, it was that shapeless blob that was like blending itself.
All right, I guess I could see that. And then then it took like some of the...
Because like 2 minutes before that, it was inside of Dr. Ventress.
That's fair. Okay, I think I get that. I buy that. So why did she so rapidly turn into this thing? It's because the cancer was killing her? So the cancer cells, because they grow so fast? I would guess.
This other thing is mutating even faster.
There you go. If that's the reason,
makes sense.
That's why the cancer thing is there.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm bought in. I'll accept that. I'll accept that over nothing.
Yeah.
And it actually makes sense.
Yeah.
Cool. I think we figured it out. Cheers. I don't have any beer left. I finished that a long time ago. It was so good.
I was pacing myself. It was tasty.
Quite delicious.
Wait, there's still some.
What else you got?
Start with the CGI in a very CGI-driven movie.
Okay.
Some of it was very good.
The scenery, the plants,
The shimmer. That scene on the beach was really cool.
The beach was
actually
bananas.
They did a lot of cool stuff with reflections of the shimmer and things. Like, it's very quiet background stuff where it's like you wouldn't necessarily notice it unless you happen to catch it move and you look. Like, there's just little bits of water or glass here and there where the camera's never focused on it, but it's in the scene and you see it.
Let's also not forget there's rainbows everywhere.
Yes. So a lot of that was really cool.
Yeah.
But like the creatures were not.
Yeah, man, bear, pig.
I actually thought the alligator was worse.
The alligator was pretty bad.
Which is weird.
Was it albino?
Yes.
Okay. With a.
I don't remember if I said that or if I wrote it. I must have said it earlier. Albino gator.
You didn't. I've heard.
No, I think I did say it when we were talking about it. It's like the albino gator was weird because I didn't actually write it in here.
But it looked like an alligator mixed with a Sarlacc pit.
No, it was an alligator that was housing a Sarlacc pit.
Oh, okay, that makes perfect sense. And then we have the deer, which were, a step up from the 3 billboards deer.
Which was a step up from the Walking Dead deer.
A step up from the Walking Dead deer, which is very fair. What other creatures did we get?
There was the creepy humanoid thing. Which is weird because some of those scenes...
That one didn't bother me as much though because it was just this thing.
It wasn't so... Well, but the thing is, some of those scenes it was CGI and some of them it wasn't. I noticed that like at the beginning when it's like doing this little jig, it's CGI. But then when they both hit the ground, it's a person. Yeah. And I noticed because it was glowing less.
They forgot to add the glow.
Yeah. And all this stuff outside, like a lot of the imagery in this is a lot of it's beautiful.
What were all the skulls?
I was curious about that too. I was wondering if it was going to be a thing. I'm guessing it was other expeditions reaching, like one person from each expedition because they sent a bunch of them.
Interesting,
right?
Wow. Okay, that raises more questions.
It seems like at least one person made it each time. Yeah, sure. How many of them made it out? Yeah, I'm wondering that too.
Or did any of them? I don't know.
Well, if someone made it to that point every time, wouldn't you think there'd be a copy every time?
I would. I don't know.
Although, to be honest, it could have been, as time was growing on, it was becoming better at doing it. Maybe the first couple iterations, it couldn't get a viable... Remember, the cane that makes it out almost dies once it reaches the real world.
That's true. So
it goes into organ failure.
Is it killing the things and
also,
then putting its skulls and rib cages there?
How bad are they as doctors that they couldn't identify that wasn't him? Doing blood tests and stuff, they should have realized this isn't normal.
Or like an X-ray.
Although maybe the anomalies...
Pretty sure an X-ray would come out just as a one blob, right?
Snakes.
No, they wouldn't see it because it would have all been moving. I feel like it would have disrupted the entire imaging.
Well, no, I think physically it was there. It's just, I imagine its composition would have been different. That's what I'm saying, like doing a blood
wouldn't test. The movement throw... I don't know how X-ray imaging works, but I know how photo imaging works.
They would have had
the movement would blur the entire thing and make it like this blob.
I mean, I think they would have had the outline, but like this area would have been snakes.
You just gotta let the snakes go. It's a silhouette of person and then inside snakes.
Yes.
Jeez.
But yeah, it was a mixed bag with the CGI and stuff.
Hang on. I'm stuck on these skeletons. They were also lined up outside of the lighthouse.
Yeah, and some of them were stacked.
That's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Why? Because
they're skeletons.
What happened?
Oh, I have no idea.
I want to know what happened.
I don't. All the things that happened I didn't want to know were going to happen.
Okay, you know what? Good point.
Also, another cool background thing that I point out to you, and I guess you'd notice it as well, is the tattoos.
Oh, yeah. That was cool.
Although I'm a little confused by one part of it.
Which one?
They kept having the... I guess the tattoo maybe was more symbolic than anything.
His? Or?
Well, no, because... And I guess I don't remember, because in the video, I thought it was the guy who got cut open who had the tattoo.
Did he?
If not both of them.
No, that would be interesting because we know he has it before he goes in.
No, he had a tattoo up here.
Yeah.
But he didn't have the tattoo here.
No. Did he have it there at the end? I thought you were saying the guy that got cut open had one here.
No. Kane had one up on his shoulder.
Yeah.
The guy who got cut open had the figure 8 tattoo or the infinity tattoo on his forearm.
Interesting.
That's why I pointed out to you.
Oh.
At least one of them in the video has it on their forearm.
Okay.
And then Anya has it once they're in the shimmer. And when early on in the movie, when we see Lena being interrogated after the effect, she has the tattoo on her forearm. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? This is before we learn about the whole refraction thing. Because at a certain point, I saw her grabbing her forearm and she had a bruise. Yeah. And Shepard's like, what's going on? She's like, it's just a bruise. It's fine. And then later on, because at that point, you didn't see the tattoo on Anya yet. You see it later on her arm. Yeah. And when they're at one of the camps. And I was like, oh, fuck. I saw that tattoo in that video. And she has the bruise at the same point. And then I remembered that she had it from, like, in the future. And it was like, and you see it slowly growing. Right. Until the end when she has the full tattoo on her. And I was like, obviously it's supposed to be a whole reflection of the whole idea of reflection. Right. These copies of each other and this and that in the movie. But tracking it was fucking weird. I'd have to see it again. Yeah, knowing about it from the very beginning of the movie to see the progression of it throughout.
I would like to also pay attention. I know there's that one.
To a certain extent, it was almost kind of
I want to pay attention to his, though, because I'm curious if anybody else gets that.
I don't remember anyone else having it up on their chest. Yeah. I just remember him having it. But it reminded me to a certain extent of being this, like, symbol that kept popping up in the way that, like, Cloud Atlas, where the shooting star mark each of them has in each of the stories. Like, that idea of it carrying forward like that, I thought was kind of cool. That's what it reminded me of. I know it's not the same thing, but it's just what it reminded me of.
It's cool. Yeah, the tattoo thing was kind of, like, that's our first inkling of what's going on. If you're paying attention to that, that's probably the earliest thing that you notice. Yeah. When you go back, which is kind of cool. Sweet.
This movie had kind of a pretty unique structure to it, and the way it keeps popping in and out of present, past, future, and like you can't even trust that the present is going on as we think it is. Right. Like the whole time dilation thing right there on its surface, but even we kind of have an unreliable narrator issue where it's like they don't know what to believe, so how do we know what to believe? Yeah. Like,
it's cool. There's a lot of interesting devices throughout the movie.
Yeah, I thought it was. It's almost was slightly clunky a couple times the transition, but overall I really liked that where it's like past, present, future, and you're not sure what you're gonna get. And actually, to a certain extent, it's not nearly the same, but even that reminds me a little of Cloud Atlas, the way they like bounce between the levels of it.
I get the fact that she cheated on him. Mm-hmm. And I understand that. I feel like it was just a prompt to talk about the self-destruction thing.
To a certain extent, that's probably true.
Like further the self-destruction point that the Doctor makes earlier. But other than that, it fell flat to me. I don't feel like there was any more.
Well, I guess we didn't really need to go to it 2 or 3 times. One time would have probably been... Yeah. Although, actually, no, I'll say 2 times, because I think they talked about it like 3 times. 2 times would have been enough, because...
They like showed it twice and talked about it once.
Yeah, because the first time they showed it, it was also the first time they showed the framing device of showing where the present day is taking place. Well, it was the second time, because we saw Area X when she gets picked up and brought to the facility, and then the Shimmer when she gets into the Shimmer, and then later on the Lighthouse. Right. But it was used when she's going into the Shimmer, and at the time, I just thought it was a dream sequence. Right. Because she wakes up, and then they find out this whole thing that we've lost 3 days. Yeah. And I was just like, oh, so maybe she was dreaming that? Like, maybe she was, I don't know, we've played a little bit with past, present, future here. Like, I don't know what's going on. And they do it again, and the two of them are actually talking, and it's like, oh, that's something that happened before he left. Got it now. Right. And it explains, well, I guess we kind of saw the idyllic side of their marriage at that point, but then later on we see that everything wasn't so good, because when he leaves, he's just kind of like... At first I thought they even misshot that scene, because he says like, I do love you. Yeah. And I was like, that's a weird way to say that. Yeah. But then we realized that's what it's all about, like he knew. But I also thought that the first time that like maybe that when she cheated on him was while he was missing.
Well, I guess it also adds a little bit more to her drive to get there because it's like it starts off. She says, "I owe him."
Yeah.
Right, but it starts off as like I'm gonna go in there because I'm gonna make him right.
Yeah.
But there's the unknown quantity of guilt at that point.
Yeah.
Which then builds up throughout these scenes. Weird.
Well, I guess I was just confused because that first time when they were talking about it, it is clearly while he's missing. But at first you wouldn't necessarily realize that it was carrying over from before he went missing.
Right.
And that's the only time.
That's the reason they jumped to it a few times. Yeah, I could see that. Yeah.
But it was a little clunky even still.
Yeah. Just didn't seem, it was fitting in the sense that like if
like I got it, they just didn't do it the best way they could have done it.
Yeah, I don't know. It just didn't, I understand it. I just don't. I don't know. If you're looking for things to cut, and like I feel like there's probably other things that they had
trim.
Right, but I'm saying if they wanted to like pull on some other threads a little bit further, they could have done that instead of doing this one.
Yeah,
because it didn't really add that much for me. But
what do you think of Natalie Portman in the movie overall as an actress?
I like her. I think she's solid. So
well, I feel like she has this reputation of being a very good actress, and at times it seems like she's a good actress, but at other times less so.
I thought she was better in this than other things.
And that's what I was wondering is like, has she regained that? Because she's just objectively not good in any of the Star Wars movies.
Yeah.
Which is weird because at that same time as when everyone was talking about how good of an actress she is.
It is kind of funny because the scene, there's the scene where she's crying. I can't remember what it was exactly. Oh, after Shepard dies, I think, and she's crying. And I was like, this is like 1,000 times better than when you cried in Attack of the Clones or whatever it was. I was like, this is good. Like, I believe you. Like, and also, are you okay? But yeah. Yeah, it's funny because I think of her in movies and think like, oh, like V for Vendetta. And I'm like, fantastic.
Which is weird because she's good in it, but also the accent is so bad.
And
Can you be a good actress while doing a bad accent? Her British accent's terrible.
I don't remember it being, I don't know. But I remember her being good in that movie. And I thought she was great in this. And I do, there's a part of my mind that always goes to the Star Wars movie because she wasn't good in those. Yes. But that was also, the movies themselves were flawed.
Yeah. No, it's just like, she had so much time on screen across those 3 movies. And that was at the time that her reputation was, she was the next big thing as an actress. Mm-hmm. But it's hard to reconcile that when at the same time she was being actively a bad actress. Mm. So for a long time I was like, is this just based on like, you know how sometimes someone gets like, oh, they're such a good actor or actress on that one role?
Right.
So maybe they're just good at being that role.
Right.
Like Aaron Paul is like Jesse Pinkman. Like, he's really good at being Jesse. But is he actually good at being anything else?
That's a good point. I don't know.
I haven't seen it. That was a door.
Oh, okay. What the hell was that? Yeah, she was great in The Professional when she was a kid.
But that was way back.
She was great in... I thought she was really great in V for Vendetta.
She was good. But that's what I'm saying. I feel like she did a good performance even while doing a bad accent. And I'm just trying to think of like...
Then I guess
that's
the case.
Only
I thought the
time?
performance was actually really solid in that movie.
Like she was good in Garden State, but she was good.
Yeah, that one... I saw once a long time ago. I would have to have an assessment. Yeah, I remember liking it. I would have to watch it again to and focus on that to see what I thought. I thought she was good in this though.
Yeah, no, she was good in this. I was just like, this is the first time I've seen her in something in a while that like Thor. She was just, I don't know.
See, that's the thing though. The character itself seems
and in the second Thor
written as blah. So like,
that's part of it. But like in the second Thor, like she actively sabotaged the role. You know that she left the role while shooting the second.
Oh no, I did.
She was didn't want to do the movie, was doing the movie, and then literally walked out, and they had to get her sister to come and shoot some of her scenes.
Oh really?
Like a bunch of they needed more I don't know if they had to do some breaches to clean up some action scenes. They literally had to hire her sister to shoot scenes like of her.
Hey, it made for some really great breakup jokes later on. So
yes,
I'm okay with that.
So I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, interesting. I'll have to keep an eye on it.
I was just curious at what you thought, because I thought she was good in this, but I feel like I never saw Black Swan. I just know it's like
that movie was fucking weird.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm trying to think of other things that she was in.
Are you looking at your cabinet to see if there's anything up there that she's in?
I am. Yeah, I'm not certain I have any more than the ones that we mentioned. But no, interesting. I might have to pay more attention to this.
That's why I'm like
to circle back to
sure.
Because you're kind of right. Because like when you say like, oh, Natalie Portman's such a good actress, I do think I think back of the things that I liked, which are like, oh, I really liked V for Vendetta, and I like this now. And
but the first one, when you say Natalie Portman, the first movie I think of is one of the Star Wars movies.
I don't.
Even though I've seen a whole bunch of other things with her in it, that's where I go to.
Yeah, that's funny. The first thing I think of is V for Vendetta, and then the second thing I think of is The Professional. So the Star Wars movies come after that for some reason in my memory of. Even though I saw them probably before, I saw those before I saw these other movies.
Did you hear me make the Yoda Force Cave joke while we were in the theater?
Yep. I did. It was funny.
I didn't hear or see any reaction, so I didn't know if I whispered it too quietly. I could have even expected even if you were angry by it, I was expecting to see you just turn and
give you the slow stare.
Yeah,
that would have been fitting. But
for those of you who've seen the movie, you can probably figure out what I meant when she walks into the lighthouse and puts her gun down, and then just showing the hole in the ground. And I just whispered, "What will I find in there?" And he says, "Nothing that you won't take with you."
Oh my god! Cool. Got anything else?
No, it was a good, weird, fucked up movie.
Yeah, it was. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the ride.
I can't wait to see it several months from now.
Yeah, agreed.
And also Ex Machina sometime in between.
Yeah, definitely. We should do the Ex Machina when this comes out on
Blu-ray.
Yeah, so when it's like all relevant again.
Oh, for those of you who are fans of this movie and Ex Machina, I looked up stuff on it earlier and I just didn't get to touch on it. But Alex Garland's making a TV show for FX some point. He's done writing the script, I guess, and is working on actually doing the production of the show. So
we'll keep our eyes out for more news on that.
Yeah, and I was wrong. It is actually a sci-fi thing.
Oh,
the headline of this story. Well, that was something me and Anthony talked about off air. Was the headline says Alex Garland's FX series will be science fiction similar to Ex Machina and Never Let Me Go.
Wait, what's Never Let Me Go?
I don't know.
Interesting. Is there something else he did?
Let's go deeper.
What? Must go faster.
Well, because I guess the whole thing was he said he was kind of
done
with this.
What do you got?
Oh, yes. Screenplay.
Oh, he wrote 28 Days Later?
Yes.
Oh, he wrote Dread. Dread was good. Did you see Dread?
I didn't. I know that was one that...
We can watch. I can let you borrow that.
I know that bombed commercially, but was successful critically. Or it has a very passionate fan base.
No, yeah, it was good. I enjoyed that.
Never Let Me Go is...
See, that 2010, he wrote that one. He
actually got his start as a novelist.
Really?
He wrote the novel The Beach, which turned into a DiCaprio movie.
Oh, okay, I remember that. I think I watched like half of that. Okay, let's see. What's this guy about? The lives of three friends from their early school days into young adulthood when the reality of the world they live in comes knocking. That doesn't tell me anything.
Yeah, but he wrote 28 Days Later. 28 Days Later, I think he produced the second one.
Oh, it stars Andrew Garfield crying.
He wrote a video game.
Which one?
Devil May Cry.
Really?
Yes.
Like the original?
DMC, Devil May Cry.
Yeah.
2013.
2013. No, I think it was older than that.
And
maybe that was like a remake?
He also, there's this other one, Odyssey to the West, that he was like a consultant on. But then he wrote and directed Ex Machina. That was his first directorial outing.
Awesome. Well, we'll keep our eye out for him and any other thing that he does. Well, that's it for episode 36 of Flix and the Six. Hope you enjoyed it. Check in next week for more movie and beer goodness. If you want to keep the conversation going, you can hit me up at AEJ Costanzo on Twitter and Instagram. Al is at AlessandroB1187. And until next week, cheers.